Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and I'm back to share another layout for Bramble Fox. So I'm working with the July Fox box once again, and I'm going to be scrapping a photo of my little boy from his 4th birthday back in January now, seems like ages ago. So I'm going to use the Celebrate title from the July Fox box, and I've also pulled out some of the mini heart perspectives from the Heart Special Edition pack, which is available at the Bramble Fox store. I wanted to work with the colours from my photo, so I've pulled out Cocoa Vanilla Studios Legendary collection. Don't have a massive amount of it left, but I've pulled out the kind of blues and almost grey tones that I've got left of that, and I've cut some circles from those, so I've got lots of circles going on here, and I'm just spending some time arranging them, trying to decide where I want things to go. A couple of the circles you might have noticed are not whole. That's because I was using the scrap papers I've got left, so couldn't quite make whole circles out of all of it, but that's okay because I'm going to layer them and tuck them under each other, so that won't show at all. So I love to have a lot of texture on my pages, so I quite often distress the edges. So I'm using an edge distresser here, and I'm going around the edges of all the circles, just distressing them. If you don't have an edge distresser, you can achieve the exact same effect just using the blades from a pair of scissors. And once I'd distressed all those edges, I just went off camera to my sewing machine, and I've stitched a line of black thread all the way around the edges of all the circles. And again, it just adds a bit more texture and a bit more interest to the page. So I'm just working on that formation again, trying to check that I'm happy with everything. I'm gonna have my title, that Celebrate perspective, just over on the left of my photo there, sitting on top of one of the circles. I'm just going to draw a faint line around the edge of all of that with a pencil, and I'm going to add just a bit of dry mixed media. So this is a Distress ink in Mode Lawn, lovely bright green colour, and I'm just using a blending brush in a circular motion to go around the edge of that pencil line and just add a little bit of colour. Nothing too harsh, but I just want it to peek out behind the edges of all those circles. And I'm not adding any water or anything to this, so I've not bothered to apply any gesso to my page. I very rarely use gesso. I much prefer the effect of mixed media without it. So yeah, this is just going on straight onto this cardstock. Once I've done that, I bring everything back in just to check that I've got enough area covered, and then I decide I want to add some splatters on top of that. So I'm watering down some white gesso here. This is probably the only time I do use white gesso. I find that the gesso sits on top of the layout and appears much more of a truer white colour than white acrylic paint, because that tends to kind of soak into the cardstock. So I always use white gesso for my splatters. Just water that down and use a paintbrush, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing once that's dry with some black acrylic paint on top. That's just to create a bit of drama. I do want to bring in some black tones to my layout, so having the splatters around the edge will kind of tie that all in nicely together. So again, just taking some time to rebuild that formation and check that I'm happy that I've got enough splatters. And like I mentioned, I want to bring in some tones of black. So I'm just using a star punch there, and I've punched several stars from a sheet of black cardstock, and I'm just trying to arrange them around the edges there in a way that I'm happy with. Trying to get a kind of even balance. I take a few off and then I bring them back in and faff a little bit with those, but I'm happy with the formation of my circles and where my photo and title are going to sit, so I can go ahead and get those circles stuck in place. I'm just using a quick dry tacky glue for that. Some of them I'm going to raise the edges up on foam pads just to bring in a bit of dimension, but all the bits that are going to sit under my photo I've kind of tried to stick flat with the glue. So I'm just going to add some foam behind my photo. This just raises it up a bit more depth and dimension to the layout, but it also helps to draw your eye to the photo as one of the main focal points of the layout if it kind of is raised up from the page a bit. So I've applied foam behind that, and then I'm going to get my title stuck down with some glossy accents as well just next to that. And then I'm coming in again with these stars, trying to decide where I want them. I think the problem I was having is I only had 4, and they were kind of making a square around the edge of the layout or around that cluster, and I wasn't happy with that. So by bringing in the 5th one, it's not so much a square anymore. And it looks almost like a 5-pointed star now, which is quite nice because I've got stars on my perspective and also on one of the pattern papers, so it just helps to keep that running theme of having some stars. And I'm just finishing the edges of those up with a white gel pen. And now I'm happy on the placement of those. I'm going to go around and get them all stuck down with foam pads. And then I'm going to bring in my mini perspectives. These are the Hearts Special Edition pack. I absolutely love this pack. I've got, I think I've bought 2 or 3 of them now. They're just perfect little additions for things. So I've pulled out some greys, some almost navy blue, and some of the shiny silver. That silver is almost metallic as well. It's got a nice little sparkle to it, which is obviously nice for a birthday. A nice bit of sparkle, you can't beat that. And then I'm coming back in again with the white gesso just to add some more splatters. The circles were looking too clean and neat for me. I needed to kind of distress them a bit further, so I'm adding a lot of white. I'm getting it on my title as well there. That doesn't bother me, just a bit more interest to the page. I'm not fussed about getting a bit of paint on my perspectives. It kind of adds to it all, I suppose. So that's all done and stuck in place now. Off camera there I have added some word stickers. So they are from a Tim Holtz spiral pad, and they say, "Choose to shine, live in the moment, best day ever, be awesome today, and don't forget to fly." And I thought they were quite nice sentiments to have on the layout. And now I'm just finishing my page off with some sequins. These are from Spiegelmom Scraps, and this set's called Penguin Suit, and it's all blacks, silvers and greys, so they work perfectly with this layout. Just sprinkled a few around the edge of the layout, all around that mixed media section, and again using glossy accents to get those stuck in place. So now now I decide I want to bring in a few more small tiny little embellishments, and carrying on with that star theme, I've pulled out some wood veneer stars in a couple of different sizes, just scattered them around those circles, and I'm going to paint them black with acrylic paint. I'm not using any water with this at all, it's just going on straight as it is. And I love doing this with wood veneer, and it dries really quickly, this acrylic paint, within seconds. Like by the time I've done the last one, the first one's already dry. So they are really super duper easy to use, and they work really well with this layout. And that's it, that's my layout complete. So another really quick layout for me. I've had a good month today actually. All 4 of these layouts I've created have been super quick and easy, and I've really enjoyed making them. So I will leave you with some close-ups. In the description box, as always, you will find links to the Bramble Fox box subscription page. Also, I'll pop a link in to those heart perspectives that I've used, and also a link to the Bramble Fox Friends Facebook group. So if you're not already a member, do head over and join. So thanks very much for joining me this month. I hope you've enjoyed my layouts. Obviously I'll be back next month with the August Fox box, but for now I'll leave you with the rest of the close-ups.